I'm at your home, what happens is right before the law was passed, the lobbyists with the credit bureaus added an extra 15 days on it. So as you go to clean up your information or go to correct information, what will happen is they've added these extra 15 days to it. It's a bad idea. You do not want to do it. So remember the first two things that we talked about, the anatomy of the credit. Number one, the mind of the credit. Okay, the mind of the credit bureau is what decides what happens on the credit bureau itself. The eyes of the credit bureau are you. You want to be able to look and see what's on your credit bureau. If you can see what's on your credit bureau, then you can make wise decisions. A lot of times people cannot make wise decisions because they don't see what's on their credit report.
Okay. All right, now the next part of the anatomy is the heart, the most important, the meat and potatoes of it. Tell us about the heart.
Okay, the heart of the credit bureau is basically the way you conduct your affairs every single month. So when you go to work on your bills and you go to pay stuff and you go to do your monthly bills, okay, the heart of the credit bureau is the kind of accounts that you have on your credit bureau, okay? How many credit cards you have, how many installment accounts you have on your credit bureau, how many regular accounts like auto loans you have on your credit bureau. This begins to make up the heart of what is making up your credit report. Okay, so as you go into the heart of the credit bureau, it starts to break it down. So basically when the credit bureau's mind begins to work with the heart of the credit bureau, this talks about how you're paying these bills and the type of accounts that you have on your credit. So a lot of times somebody will come to me and their heart is very, very weak because they may have no credit cards.
No credit cards. No bills.
No auto loans.
Right.
No installment loans.
And that's as bad as bad credit or no credit.
Exactly. So what we want to do as a doctor, what I'm going to do is, they need to understand how that heart is going to function the best. Mm-hmm. And so the heart of a credit bureau is the types of accounts that are on a person's credit report.
Now, can a person have too much credit?
Yeah, you can have too many credit cards. You can have too many installment accounts. You can have the wrong kind of accounts on your credit report, which makes your heart, basically overloaded.
Right.
Okay. Just like your heartbeat. Your heart was not made for a 500-pound body.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of times business people make this mistake. Their heart is overloaded because they're trying to buy 50 properties, on their personal credit report. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they have other issues that need to be dealt with. So your heartbeat in the anatomy of your credit is the types of accounts that you have.
Okay. So the heart right there, he said it all. Your regular bills, your installments, your car loans, the meat and potatoes of your credit report. That's awesome. Great. So what's the next part of the anatomy?
Okay. The next part of the anatomy is legs.
Legs.
Okay. Legs represent movement. Okay. You have to move and do something. Okay. If you just sit around and you do nothing with your credit, okay, your credit is going to go nowhere.
It won't just fix itself?
No, exactly. So just like somebody filing bankruptcy, you file bankruptcy, you filed bankruptcy. If you sit around and wait for your credit report to heal itself or to do something, it's not going to happen.
Wow.
So we want to put legs to your credit report, which means start doing something. So let's get down to what that exactly means. Let's say you have no credit, okay? Well, what you need to do is you need to start to build credit. Mm-hmm. Now, building credit does not mean go out and conquer something really, really big like getting a car loan or getting a home loan or getting these types of things. You want to start out with something small and show that you know how to manage your credit.
Like secured credit card.
Yeah, exactly. So let's put some movement to this. You're out there, you're listening to the program, you have no credit. Getting a secured credit card just simply means this, and I will give you the rules. I'm going to put legs to your credit report right now so you can begin to do something. You have a secured credit card. You get that from a bank, like Bank of America or one of the banks out there. You go and you take a certain amount of money, and this is where you put your money to work for you. You take that money and you give them, let's say, $250. You give them $250, and then they send you a credit card in the mail. Now you have a credit card, and now you can put your credit to work for you. That credit card is now your employee. Mm-hmm. Now here's the tricky part of it. Most people get that little credit card in the mail for $250, and they're like, woohoo, I'm taking my wife out to eat, or I'm taking my husband out to eat, or I'm taking my boyfriend out,
Right.
or I'm doing something, and they begin to go out and start to spend everything on that credit card. Bad idea. You're moving in the wrong direction.
Right.
Okay? My advice to people is that you take that card, and what you do is you charge $10 a month on that card, period. You do not charge any more, and then you pay it off at the end of the month. Now it is working for you.
Right. But use it. Use it a little bit, pay it off. Use it. But if you sit there and just put it in the drawer and don't use it, again, you're not showing you're credit worthy or that you can manage credit.
Right.
So then you're defeating the purpose again.
So the legs of the credit report are basically you moving and starting to do stuff with the accounts that you have on your credit. It may be a collection. It may be a car loan on there that has went into a 30-day late. This is where you put movement to your credit report. This is where the credit physician comes in. When I work with a client, that's what they're doing. When they make a decision to go with me, I begin to give their credit report feet, because now their credit reports are moving.
So now feet's the next part.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, so your feet basically represent balance. Okay? Now, the first thing that I teach people is the balance beam of truth. Okay? And that is about the two different worlds. And we want to talk a little bit about that. If your balance is off with your credit, then that means you have a collection account on your credit. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to pay that collection off. Okay, well, what people don't understand is if your feet are moving in the wrong direction, guess what? You've got a serious problem. Because if you go to pay that collection off, it can actually drop your credit score. So doing things and moving in the right direction is very, very important. The feet of your credit report are the direction that your credit is moving.
Right.
Okay? If you're doing things and your credit score is going down, you are moving in the wrong direction. You are doing a Michael Jackson. You're moving backwards. You're doing the moonwalk. Okay? You're going in the you're going the wrong way. So giving your feet and going in the right direction with your credit report is very, very important.
You know, it was interesting. I had a good friend of mine here in town, and they asked me to join them in an AA meeting. And I'm like, wow, I've never been to an AA meeting. And I went, and it was a deep learning process, you know, and it's a step-by-step process, and it's a day-by-day process for a lot of people. And that's simply it. With credit repair, restoration is recovery, and that you have to consciously every day make a conscious effort of what you're doing with your credit. Man, I'm about to use this credit card. Am I going to be able to pay that off if I put it on here? Because you forget that you charge up stuff, you do have to pay it back. You know, so it's a recovery process and a discipline, and that you have to incorporate God in what you're doing with your credit to manage it. So in saying that, we're going to go to break. But right before we go, I want Dr. Mike to leave us his contact information, the best way to get you your website, and for all the listeners out there.
Okay, my contact information, my website is www.creditphysician.net, and that's singular, www.creditphysician.net. Or you can reach us on our toll-free number, which is 1-888-406-2050. That's the best way to get a hold of us. So.
Wonderful. And the great thing about the credit physician, I mean, you don't have to be in Georgia for him to assist you with your credit. I mean, credit is pretty universal, so he can help you wherever you are. If you're thinking about moving to Georgia, hey, that's where I come in with the real estate side. But I think the first step with anyone is to make sure you're lined up and you're ready, and that's establishing your credit, all right? So we're going to take a quick break right here on The Real Estate of Real Estate.